So is love enough to sustain a marriage?
The answer will be a no.
Okay.
Love is never enough to sustain a marriage. Now, love is the most important ingredient among the ingredients needed in a marriage. But on its own, it's not enough.
Welcome to the When I Wanted Out talk show. I'm your host, Teleola Kola-Edun. Thank you for joining us on a new season. On today's episode, we're discussing a topic titled, Is Love Enough to Keep a Marriage? Now, to unpack this topic for me is a senior called Pastor Shea Olawumi. One in town, a profound inspirational speaker, author, entrepreneur, performance strategist, marriage counselor, and leadership development consultant. Now, he was the Nigerian Youth Ambassador to the United Nations in 2009 to 2011, and the first chairman of the African Youth Union, inaugurated at the United Nations headquarters in New York in 2009. He has spoken in several conferences, seminars, churches across the globe. He is also the founder and senior pastor of Grace Revolution Embassy. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on this episode.
Welcome.
We look forward to learning all that we can on this topic.
Yes, I'm so excited to be on this show.
Thank you, sir. So, is love enough? What is love? I mean, a lot of us understand love in different ways. So, for the purposes of this discussion, what is love?
Well, thank you, Teleola, and for the good job you're doing. I must appreciate that before we go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Anyway, well, love is a lot of things to a lot of people. But generally, we can say that love is a quality or feeling of affection, strong affection for someone or dedication to something or someone.
Okay, so that's how many of us would understand love. You know, I feel so attracted to him. I want to always be in his presence.
Yeah.
So is love enough to sustain a marriage?
The answer will be a no.
Okay.
Love is never enough to sustain a marriage. Now, love is the most important ingredient among the ingredients needed in a marriage. But on its own, it's not enough. For example, I heard this from Dr. Miles Monroe many years back, that I love an aircraft does not qualify me to fly an aircraft. Your love for a thing does not qualify you to handle that thing.
Right.
So the same way your love for a woman, for example, does not qualify you to marry. There are so many other things you need to understand. Male-female differences, you need to, because marriage is a test of our emotional and life skills. And many people have not been taught so many of these emotional and life skills. So
love tests or marriage tests our
emotional
life skills. So marriage does not test our love.
Not so much as it tests the other things. For example, there are so many things that will happen in our marriages.
Yes.
You know, how do we handle it? For example, very practically, there was a time in my marriage, I took a decision that was seemingly good, but ended up turning bad, and we lost $120,000. And that was more like a life saving between me and my wife, and I was the one who made that investment. So at that point, that was a big thing for her to handle.
Right.
How will she handle that is the reason why we are still married happily today. So there are other things. How do you manage disappointments? How do you manage conflicts without venting your anger such a way that it destroys the other party? How do you manage infidelity? Because it does happen in marriage, so we can't knock off all of this. How do you manage infidelity and sin? So you discover that love is not enough. There are other things you need to know. There are other things you need to equip yourself with. But let me round that up by saying that the principal thing, even according to the Bible, is wisdom. He said wisdom is a principal thing. He said get wisdom. With all that getting, get understanding. So the principal thing to get is not love, it's wisdom and understanding.
But now, someone asked me the other day saying, I don't really love my husband. And the way I responded was that love has to be the way God intended love to be, right? Which is love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, love does not boast, And she was like, yes, I get it, but I still don't love him. So I know that you had mentioned that there were 4 different levels to love. Can you shed more light on that for us?
Yes, it is possible that that person is operating on a level, and because the other levels or the other types, are not in existence, there's no way to come up boldly to say, I still love this man.
Okay.
There are 4 words translated love, even in the Bible. The Greek language is superior to the English language.
Right.
The Greek language is more robust.
Right.
That language has existed for several years. English language is just about 800 to 1,000 years old. And there are still some gems in that language that English doesn't even find an answer to. For example, there are 4 words translated love, and God expects the 4 kind of love to exist in a marriage, for that marriage to have a chance of surviving. One of them is eros. Eros is translated love. Now, if you read the Bible talks about Tamar, a son of David, who was in love with his sister and really wanted to. That was eros. Is this emotional, erotic love, sexual love that creates sexual drive towards a person? God expects that to be in marriage. In fact, marriage is the only place where God permits eros. That kind of love. You also have filial, which is the kind of love that exists between friends, which means you need filial because your wife or your husband must be your friend.
That's right.
If he or she is not your friend, the marriage is going to be boring. You want to go out there, you don't want to come back home on time. But if you have a friend as a spouse, you look forward to coming back home. You look forward to spending time together. You never run short on discussion. There is always something to talk about.
Right.
The other one is porch, which is the kind of love that exists between father or parents to their children.
Right.
And God also expects that in marriage. I'll give you a practical example. Look at the prodigal son. Let's just think for a moment. Let's put on our thinking cap. If it was the wife of the prodigal, of the man, the father of the prodigal son, who did that? Would the husband accept her the way he did to the son? You understand? People will say in our culture, a woman just wakes up and said, no. We see that in the Western world. Somebody just wakes up and said, no, I'm done. And then you have to give me 50% of what you own.
Yes.
And then you go with the 50%, you squander the whole 50%. You see the Akimi story running on social media recently. You squander the 50%, you now come back home empty to say, my husband, my love. And they say, I've been waiting for you. Now, but there is this kind of love, which is scourge, which also takes its fruit from agape, which is God kind of love. The father was excited to have his son back. It wasn't about what had been squandered. It was about the son of my boys coming back home to me. So you need that love that makes you look at your husband or your spouse, your wife, whichever way, as your son, whatever, and then you're able to deal on that level. Then you need agape, which is a God kind of love. And that is superior because God gave us a list in 1 Corinthians 13 of what that love can do.
Okay, so we do have the agape. We understand that the agape is really, it covers all. It says it bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. But is it possible for me to have agape love and not have the other 3 and make the marriage work? Or is it that I have the other 3 but I don't have agape with the marriage work?
Yes, agape is the foundation. But even agape in itself, does not guarantee that you have the other ones because there are certain things that brings the other one to the party. For example, the erotic sexual love has something to do with the patience. It has a lot to do with your spouse.
So if I am not attracted sexually to my husband, the eros is not there.
It's not there. There's something must have happened along the line.
Okay.
Because before the marriage, I'm sure there must have been that attraction. It's part of the things, that brings people together. Physical attraction, sexual attraction. It's part of it. So, but along the line, some things may happen that causes people to lose all of that. For example, if a man is not giving the wife the rest of mind, the wife is not at peace, you put her in panic mode whenever you get because of your character, because of there's every possibility to lose that flavor, that sexual flavor.
Okay, so if Eros is missing, it's something that can still come back.
Or it's something that can still come back.
If Phileas is missing, it's something that can still come back.
We can bring it back together. Attention, affection, attention, affirmation are the three most important needs of women.
Could you say that again, sir?
Attention, affection, affirmation. They are the three most important needs of a woman.
And the most important needs of a man, though?
The most important needs of a man, sex.
Sex, respect.
Sex and honor.
Honor.
Respect, submission. Submission and sex. I mean, it's very, very important.
It's very important to the man. So now, all the other three, or all four, you can work on all four.
Yes, that's what we're saying. If you, women are verbal beings, men are visual beings. Women fall and stay in love by the things they hear. Men fall and stay in love by the things they see. And so if there was something you packaged for me that got me attracted to you, now that we are married, you have to keep packaging it.
That I think many of us, because we hear that a lot, that I'm so tired, I've been cooking, I've been cleaning, I've been taking care of the children, I'm pregnant. And so the way you used to dress up when you were dating doesn't happen anymore. So the guy will fall out of, is it Eros?
Yes, I think it all boils down to understanding again that a man understands how to come in, in the marital relationship to give the necessary assistance to the wife, because the husband is a gardener, right? Husband came from the word husbandman, the one who tends a garden.
Right.
So what I want to see in my wife is a function of how I tend that garden.
Right.
The woman I see in my head does not exist.
That's true.
So it's left for me to cultivate her to be the kind of woman that I have in my head. But if I see that there are certain things hampering that, then I have to give the necessary support to make sure that I still have that.
Okay, so before I go on break, if I'm missing something from the relationship standpoint, I meet this person and I believe that I'm sexually attracted to this person.
Yeah.
We're sort of kind of friends. I don't have the love bears all things, love believes all things approach in this relationship.
Yeah.
Is it still wise for me to go ahead into this marriage?
Well, it's wise considering that you've looked at other things that we always encourage young people to look at. For example, you want to marry a man, there are about 10 C's.
Okay.
Number one is you look at in Christ. Is he in Christ? You look at capacity, you look at competence, you look at compatibility, you look at chemistry, you look at commitment, and all of that. If he passes the test of all of that with what you have, I think you are not likely to have a problem.
Okay, so what I heard you say now is that love is not enough. You have to look at other aspects. And then it's also good when you have all those 4 levels. It's a good,
fantastic.
It's a good parameter to have a good marriage. Okay.
Can I say this, Teleola?
Yes, sir.
That my wife is in love with me.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with my spending pattern. I may be a reckless spender, and she's in love with me.
Right.
And she gets married to me. Our love does not change my reckless spending pattern, because that's the way I have been wired over the years. Believe me, as small as that is, my spending pattern could dry up the love, because it's going to hurt her. It's going to put that marriage in jeopardy. It's going to put us in the shape that we don't want. So that's why you have to consider some other things. I am in love. It's not just enough.
And it's not just enough. I think I would just use that at this junction. I just take a break for us to even go deeper on this. Love is not enough to sustain a marriage. There's so many other parameters that are needed to support that love. But it is important when you have all those 4. It is very important to have those 4. And this, we'll go back and talk after the break to the younger folk that are getting ready to get married. How important these 4 are, as well as the other components. And we'll talk about all those other components that Pastor Shea had talked about. So we'll be right back.
When I wanted out, when I wanted out, when I wanted out, when I
welcome back. We were still talking to Pastor Shea here about if love was enough. And we've agreed that love is not enough. There are too many other things that need to work together hand in hand for a marriage to be successful. So Pastor Shea, what other things do we need in a marriage to ensure its success?
I'll just share a short story because we don't have all of the time on the set.
Yeah.
When I was going to get married to my wife, I saw this young lady, I liked her, and then I spoke to her, and I declared my intentions. And I remember she told me, I like you, but can you do me a favor? Give me your 10-year plan.
Wow, 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. So I was excited because I felt that was green light for her to have asked for my 10-year plan. And then, as a young man, I was rushing. I went and wrote 10 prayer points. I want to be great. I want to become CEO. And then at that time, my wife was an analyst too with Accenture, the global consulting firm. So when I gave it to her, she was kind enough to tell me, excuse me, sir, I didn't ask for prayer points. I asked for your 10-year plan. Where are you going? How do you want to get there? What are you putting in place to get there? I said, oh, I'm sorry. I thought, so I went back to the drawing board. I tell you, for the first time, it really got me thinking about my life. And I had to think about the next 10 years. Why was she asking that question? She was asking to know the kind of life I want to live. Can I future in the future plan of this guy? Yeah. Because if you can't find yourself in the future of a man and you get into that marriage, is a marriage heading for disaster from the onset? So the question she wanted to get to is that, can I future in his plan? And then I sat down and then I came up with the 10-year plan for my life and I gave to her. She went through the plan. I said, you know what? I love you. I like you as a person. But I needed to be sure that all the things are in place. And one of them is that, do I find myself in the future that you are? He said, but if you follow this plan, you're going to be a great man. I'll believe that you stay true to your plan. I'm not just marrying you for who you are. I'm marrying you because of this plan, what you can become. Yeah. And honestly, 10 years after our marriage, we spoke about it. Because virtually everything we wrote, I had become. Yeah. So it's very important. So if you are looking at a successful marriage, other ingredients beyond love, you have to ask certain questions. Can I find myself in this guy's future? Does he have a vision? Yeah, does he have a vision? Is he a visionary? Because marriage is a man leading you somewhere. Right. If you allow a blind man to lead you, you are heading nowhere. You're heading for disaster. Right. So we start looking at, does he have capacity? I always tell people, it takes finance to run romance.
It takes finance.
Yeah, it takes
a man that doesn't have money, but approaches a girl with a vision to say, I would make money. I just don't have right now.
Yeah.
That is good.
I didn't have money.
Okay, but there was a vision.
There was a vision, and then the proof of desire is pursuit.
Okay.
I'll say that again. The proof of desire is pursuit.
Okay.
So she could see in me that I was running after something.
You were hungry.
Yeah, I was hungry for something. And if you find that potential in a guy with every other thing in place, I think it's a good place to start, because we are not all going to hit it big from the other.
Even being married now, and you're married to a guy that doesn't have money, are you saying that marriage is bound for failure at some point?
No.
If
you're married to a guy who doesn't have money, but he has potential, he has vision, he has dream, and he's pursuing. That's what I say. Yes. He's pursuing. But it can't be, because you can't claim the promises and sit in the prejudices. You understand? So if he's a guy who is just bamboozling you with glamour and this, and they're not doing anything, you can't see the proof, there's no pursuit, then there's going to be problem. Yeah, because when I'm a pastor, when ladies come to church and they scream, praise the Lord, I want to thank God for my husband. If I come again, I've told God, give me this man. Money is involved. By telling you that, money is important.
So that is important.
That is important. Then you have to look at competence. Emotionally, is it competent? Intellectually, is it competent? One of the things also that got me attracted to my wife was our intellectual compatibility. I dated a lady, just a short. I love that, because before I got married, I wanted a fair lady. I don't know what in this is. I wanted a fair lady. But as I grew, I began to ask myself,
Is this what will sustain a marriage?
is it yellow black? I was sustain my marriage. What are the other important things that I need? And the yellow lady, she see that I was dating. She was so intellectually low from me. I remember I will come with an idea and I will say, babe, what can I say? Anything. And each time she does that, I feel very deflated. Like, God,
To match.
I can't go into this. I have to. But when I met my wife,
And she pushed
before I said Jack Robinson, she's giving me 10 options. I said, no, this is what I'm thinking. Because I saw that we will be friends. We'll have things to talk about. We'll not just be looking at each other. You know, she can play in the future I want, and so on and so. So beyond the love, you have to look at other things. Companionship, you know, friends. The Bible says, can two work together except they be in agreement?
That's right.
And that agreement has to be intellectual, emotional, social-wise, and so on and so forth. You have to look at a whole lot of things. I remember, let me not say, somebody said to me recently, my wife is complaining about my sex life. Well, I don't know what to do.
Is it low or is it high?
Low. But
High could also be a problem.
yeah. but this was a lady. This was a lady who she got married to by grace, because the lady was all over town.
Okay.
Before she came, and the guy said, "That's what God said." Okay. And this is this innocent guy. When the lady is seeing the whole so many
Many other
we have to look at so many other factors
many other
to look at beyond I love.
So now those that are trying to get into marriage, how should they prepare to have a great marriage?
Yeah, to prepare to have a great marriage, preparation is key. People must understand that you don't prepare in marriage, you prepare for marriage.
Prepare for the marriage before you get married.
So you get into it. And so, for example, some people wants to marry, and believe me, some of our young folks, you know, they can spend money on cinema, watch this film, watch that film. They've never read one book on marriage. So part of praying for marriage is reading, because when they came to Jesus and they asked a foolish question about marriage, he said,
I didn't know if we great.
He said, you are asking this because you are not reading. So knowledge comes by reading, by studying. So people should read, people should study for marriage, and at the same time, you've got to find purpose. Is very important. That way, so if you find purpose before marriage, because purpose will define who to marry, who not to marry.
But sir, this is also a question that we need to see even a bit further.
Yeah.
How do we find purpose?
Yeah, finding purpose is very easy. Number one, God, He's your creator. He created you for a purpose. So prayer is very key. And then there are giftings, talent, the things that God has put in you. They're a pointer to your assignment on the face of the earth. What you passionately dislike could be a pointer to what God is calling you to do. What you passionately love to see. Look at this young lady in Pakistan that wanted female education at all, Malala. That was just a passion. That's what she's living for. So there are things God has put in there. They are in us. Those things are a pointer to our. But what you're doing today didn't start today. It's been in you. I mean, somehow, maybe over time, you got to discover this what I love to do. So God has put certain things in us that I point out to our purpose. And then to find purpose also, association could be a great deal if you relate to the right people. Because we read the story of an eagle that was given birth to, and then the mother eagle flew away, and chickens came playing with the eagle, thinking, and then because they spent time together, it started behaving like chicken.
Yeah.
And the potential to fly. And whenever he sees an eagle coming, he'll be running with the chicken so that the eagle does not take them. But the potential to fly like an eagle was there. One day the eagle was coming and he said, I look like this thing more than these guys now. And then he made an attempt to fly, and that was it. So the potential has always been there.
But right association.
Yes, right association can also support finding our purpose.
That is powerful. Thank you so much, Pastor Shea. So what we have heard, to prepare for a great marriage, knowledge, learn, read, go for seminars, go for conferences on marriage, on how to be better equipped to be a success.
Part of the C's I didn't mention, the last is counseling.
Counseling.
Yeah, because without counsel, even Bible says purposes are destroyed, are messed up. Bible says in the multitude of counsel, safety is guaranteed. I tell young people, come for counseling, is to your own advantage.
So counseling before we even start dating.
Yeah, it's very important.
Just to come and start seeking counsel on what to do with my life, where to go, what direction, what my purpose is, and things like that. So that is really powerful. Thank you very much, sir. So knowledge, seeking counsel, reading books, learning wisdom, gathering from around, and also finding purpose. It is key to find purpose before you get married.
That's important. That's important.
So thank you so much for listening to this particular episode. And what we agree on is that love is not enough. So many other components have to come into choosing your spouse and staying married to your spouse. I hope this conversation really helped you. And if you have further questions, you would actually like to hear more, I'm sure Pastor Phil would love to answer you offline. So please, those that are looking to get married, make sure you're choosing for the right reasons. Till then, next time, bye-bye. My name is Teleola Kola-Edun once again. Look forward to seeing you same time next week. Bye.
When I